Yeah, sorry, I muted myself again, but I have Travis here, and he actually was at the event the day of the shooting, and he has been keeping up with all of the hearings and trying to attend all of it, and he may be called as a witness in the future, so they asked him to step out of this one. Brandi and I, we didn't have to step out, but we chose to just to join this live stream, whereas Travis was asked to. Well, you were.
I talked to the prosecutor and he said I should.
Yeah, you were. He was advised to leave. But so you were saying that you were pretty close to Charlie that day.
Yeah, I was standing 50 feet to his right, just south of him.
Yeah, and I know it affected you pretty deeply. Travis was pretty upset. We saw him in the courtroom, and this has been really hard for him. But you were considering maybe even asking Charlie a question that day, and you were trying to find the line. Is that right?
Yeah, I was trying to find the line, and it was really difficult. There was a lot of confusion as to where it started. And so I made my way as close as you could possibly get where the barricade was. And one of Charlie's staff came to me and she told me I needed to back off a little bit because that was a private area. So I did. And I told her I couldn't find the line. And she said Charlie's team would come find me and help me find it. But then they never did.
And that was when the first question was being asked?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys can hear Travis all right?
Yes.
Okay. So when the first question was being asked, you were trying to find the line. You got up to the barricade. They said, "Hey, you can't be this close. You need to back up." And you're like, "I'm just trying to find the line." And she, instead of directing you to the line, she then said, "Don't worry about it. We'll come find you later."
Yeah.
That's okay. And in terms of your experience there, did you want to share anything else? Because I don't want to have you share things that you're not comfortable with sharing.
Yeah, I just got he got part way into this.
That's the important
second
one.
Question or second debate, and I decided to stop filming, which I'm glad I did, and I just stared at Charlie when he's being asked about transgender mass shooters, and then he started to answer, and then I heard a snap, like a crack, like a firecracker, and then a split second later, I saw him go limp and lean over to the left. And everybody froze and crouched. And it took a second to register that what I was seeing was real.
I'm sorry. I know you said you don't like being hugged.
And I tried to get out of there as fast as I could. And there was a woman with her baby in the stroller. And she was trying to get out as well. And then when I got inside, I called 911 and I couldn't get through. And so then I hung up, and then dispatch called me back, and they couldn't hear me, but I could hear them. And then I hung up, and then they called me back a third time. And then that's when I told them, and they said officers were on the way.
So you are one of the people that called 911.
Yeah.
The reason that you're here, so I am assuming I know you're devastated, you're traumatized, like you can't really imagine what going through that is like unless you actually do go through that. And I know you have past trauma as well that you were talking about earlier, which kind of like all of that being brought up. Are you angry?
I'm not I'm not as much anger as just wishing it didn't happen. And I kind of wish it would have happened to me instead of him.
No, you can't say that.
I know. Because he has a family, and I don't have much family.
No, you can't. You cannot look at it like that. I'm serious. No, come here. I'll be your family.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about how he ended up at the event. Does he live in the area? Does he work at the school? How did you end up at the event to begin with?
I live close by, and I'd been following Charlie Kirk, watching all his YouTube debates. And so I was really impressed with how respectful he was, and what he stood for, his faith. And so I wanted to see him in person and talk to him and tell him about my background, because, he talked about college being a scam, and I'm in a lot of debt, with student loans and stuff. And also, want to tell him how I grew up in Utah County in the 90s, and how much it's changed over time, and how left-wing ideology is finding its way into Provo and BYU and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to tell him about that and ask him what he thought.
And are you also comfortable sharing what one of your past jobs was that has to do with that area?
Yeah. So I'm a former Utah Valley University police officer. I was a reserve police officer just for a couple of months, but I was also working full time at a different security job and playing bass guitar in a rock band, and so my mind wasn't quite on it. And then I went back to school and got my degree from UVU in legal studies.
What year was the UVU police?
I was a police officer in 2007. Yes.
At UVU?
Yes.
You don't happen to know any of the police officers that are still there, do you?
No, because it's a completely different chief, and as far as I know, it's completely different officers than what it was, because it was so long ago.
Right. So you wouldn't happen to know who Jeff Long is?
I don't recognize the name, no.
Yeah, he's the current chief of police, or at least he was at that time. Because you had mentioned that you watched the Brian Harple interview on Sean Ryan, where Brian Harple, Charlie Kirk's head of security, he brings up text messages with the UVU chief of police, Jeff Long, but I guess you wouldn't know him.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him. I was upset at what he shared about how the chief of police told him the rooftop was covered and then it wasn't.
Right. And actually, this is interesting. So, as I'm sure you guys have gathered, we have been speaking with Travis. We were sitting next to him in the hearing, and actually it was Travis that we were debating with. We were whisper debating with Travis when one of Robinson's family members turned around and started speaking to us, asking us to keep it down a little bit. So you are fully under the impression that you believe everything that's come out in regards to Robinson being the accused shooter, correct?
Yeah. I'm believing it, but with an open mind, pretty much.
Yeah. And when we were debating with you earlier, I kind of liked what you had said about, we weren't debating as much as just like having a conversation, I'll say. And you said something about how it's hard for the people who are there with like the trauma. It's hard to keep up with like the mainstream media and the not mainstream media, and also dealing with the trauma at the same time.
Yeah, because there's a lot of thoughts that go through my mind of like how, in some ways, how unfair it is. A lot of the conspiracies that are being spread around with people that were not there and are not a part of the investigation, and so, and to a degree, it seemed like they're taking advantage of tragedy, and they don't have to deal with the trauma and that kind of stuff. And it's just hard for me to digest, because I only have enough bandwidth mentally and emotionally to absorb what I experienced firsthand and try to heal and get closure from it, let alone take in everything that's happening on the internet and social media.
Right.
Did he go to the event with anyone that day?
No, I went by myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so
we have a super chat here. Hold on one second. We have a super chat here. They're asking, did he notice anything unusual while he was there? Like people or things or drones or anything like that?
Well, the main unusual thing was, actually, I just came to my mind. So I signed up by getting a free ticket online with the barcode and I got the email with the barcode that I was under the impression that you'd scan it with security to get into the event. And I walked all the way through campus and opened the door from the inside area to the outside area to the courtyard, and there was no security or employees screening me when I came in, and I thought that was really odd.
Yeah, a lot of people have thought that's pretty odd, the lack of security there.
Yeah, and it seemed somewhat disorganized, where the line started to debate him, and then one person at the other tent that was north of where Charlie's tent was, she said it was going to be about 4 hours long, and then the staffer told me it was going to just be a couple hours. So it just seemed kind of inconsistent. Like not everybody was on the same page, and they didn't have everything lined up.
Right.
So what section was he in? And then did he stay in that spot, or did he have to relocate?
Well, at first I was in front of Charlie's tent, on the ledge, because there's different levels that went down to his tent, and I was on like the highest level.
To his right or left?
Well, directly in front of him at first, and then I kept walking around to Charlie's right, and then I went down the different levels closer to where the actual barricade, as close as you could physically get to Charlie to his right. And that's when the staffer came up to me and said, "Hey, you need to move back a little bit." So I moved back, and I was standing 50 feet away from him.
Did they give you a reason why? I'm surprised that it seemed like it was just kind of a free-for-all there.
Yeah, because the section, if I remember correctly, there was the barricades immediately surrounding Charlie's tent, but then there was a grassy area with another barricade, but it had an opening, and I went around the opening because there was no signs or nothing indicating that I wasn't allowed to go in there. And there was nobody screening me or saying, "Hey, don't go there." So I went as close as you physically could get. And then that's when the staffer came up to me and said, "I need to move that. I was in a private area." She gave me the impression it was reserved for, I don't know, VIP or people that were maybe new Turning Point or anything like that. So that's when I moved further back and listened to her. She actually walked with me, and where I finally stood 50 feet away, and then that's when she told me Charlie's team was going to get back to me and find me and help me find the line to debate him.
Have you been following any of the alternative ideas of what may have happened to Charlie besides the official FBI narrative?
Yeah, I come across a lot of different things, and the thing that they've called conspiracies that makes the most sense to me is about the caliber of the rifle and how it couldn't have, if the caliber they said it was, it would have had an exit, would have gone all the way through. That's the thing that makes the most sense. But the theory that was being thrown around that doesn't is that he was shot by a handgun by somebody 10 or 20 feet away. And the video that somebody shared with me was to Charlie's right where I was standing. So I would have been really, really close to that person that supposedly shot with the handgun. And I clearly heard a shot come from far away, not up close.
You don't think it could have been played through the speakers or something else? There's been all sorts of different theories, little, explosions, different things.
Or maybe that a gun was shot on the roof, but not in that direction. So everyone heard a gunshot from that location, but that might have not necessarily been the gun that shot Charlie, if it was a gun at all.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, I'm positive it was a gunshot from a rifle from far away, and because I was facing Charlie's right, so I was to the south of Charlie, but I was facing north. I heard the shot come from my right ear, because my right ear was facing east, and that's where the investigators and news said that Tyler Robinson was on the rooftop. So it kind of lines up with what I heard from that direction. And I've been firearm trained. I've qualified with firearms, so I've been shooting since I was a kid. So
Do you have military experience?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have a question. When we were sitting behind Robinson's family, did you know that was Robinson's family?
The person with the white beard kind of looked familiar, that you pointed him out in the hallway of the courthouse, that it was Tyler's father. And so I think that was his father, but I couldn't see fully his face, but I just suspected it was.
How did you feel when that family member, which I don't want to say which one it was, turned around and was like, hey, can you guys maybe keep down a little bit?
I was very embarrassed. She put her hand on my leg, and she kept touching my leg, and like she was trying to comfort me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to a lot of concerts, so I have some hearing loss, but I didn't hear 100% of everything she said. But she looked me in the eyes, and from what I could hear, said that I'm sorry about what you went through.
Yeah, she seemed very, very, very sweet.
Yeah, she's very sweet, and I said I apologized to her, and she basically said that's okay, you know. So yeah, I felt sorry for his family too.
So what are you doing now at this point to whether it's like with other people that were there, because there's a lot of witnesses, obviously. Are you like in any groups for therapy? What are you doing to kind of like work through this?
Well, I was telling them that like just hours before I witnessed Charlie's murder, I had a falling out with my therapist of 5 years. He basically emailed me that morning, said he doesn't want to see me anymore. And then I witnessed Charlie pass away in front of me. And it, you know, I had a therapist's office say, we'll give you 4 free sessions if you were at a witness at the event. And I started that, and it just didn't feel right. And I went through 4 different therapists before I found the right one. And I just barely started EMDR, which, you know, I have to bring up traumatic events in the EMDR therapy. And it was so intense that I started hyperventilating, and the therapist kept saying, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. And I couldn't do it again because it was so intense. And then I was seeing a psychiatrist in Orem, and we were on the main floor, and while I was in his office, someone dropped something heavy on the floor above us. And I immediately, it triggered my memory of hearing the gunshot, and I was afraid.
I'm sorry that you have to go through that.
Yeah, that's PTSD, and I'm very sorry as well.
Thanks. Yeah, and I'm just, you know, I went a while, a good, you know, I only saw that therapist that had the right fit recently in the last few weeks, so I had to go a good couple months without anybody helping me, guiding me through it as far as a professional therapist. So it's been tough. I've not coped with it the best I could. And
but you do have someone now that you're like, you actually like them, and you're finally seeing someone again.
Yeah, and I contacted the prosecutor office, and they referred me out to the Utah Bureau of Investigations, and I submitted a witness statement with them. And then their victim advocate department reached out to me, and they told me about a Facebook group for attendees that were also witnesses. And so I joined that group and got in touch with a few of the witnesses.
And how has that been?
It's been strange, because even though there's 3,000 people there, the agent did told me that there's only about 30 people that submitted witness statements, and that Facebook group only has about 250 members.
So out of 3,000 people, only 30 people submitted witness statements.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What do you make of that? Yeah, what do you make of that? I mean, that's
it's hard. I guess they were like, it's strange. I don't know why. The agent did tell me that most of those people were the people that were the closest. And maybe a lot of people, from talking to other witnesses from the Facebook group, they say, well, I don't know if I would do any good, or, you know, they were afraid to come forward. I even saw one of the witnesses that was interviewed by Steven Crowder on his Louder with Crowder show on Rumble, that said that I tried to contact him, and he said he didn't want to talk to me because he's afraid for his safety. And there's only one person that's consistently been supportive from that Facebook group, that she checks in on me a couple days a week.
Okay. So there are some folks in the chat who I think remember you from some of the video, you know, circulating after. I think maybe they had spotted the tattoo on your hand, and they were asking what that meant.
Oh, my left hand or my right hand?
I'm not sure.
It's probably on your right, because that's where you were holding the mic.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a quote So I'm a big movie fan, and one of my favorite movies is Blade Runner, the original, with Harrison Ford in the 80s. And there's a scene where the bad guy at the end, he passes away because he's like a humanoid like person, and he witnessed a lot of like amazing things, but he's been through a lot of hard times. And he says those moments, he talked about all these beautiful moments that are lost like tears in rain, and then he passes away. But I kind of took that and made it personal because my my niece was just 18 years old, and she was stabbed to death by a gang member in Taylorsville. And I went to her funeral. And then 6 months later, my dad was diagnosed with multiple myeloma cancer. And I took care of him for 5 years, and then he passed away of a heart attack in front of me. I actually had to make the difficult decision to let him pass. And so it's about those experiences that are like tears and rains. You know, they're lost in the rain, but they're never forgotten. And so that's what that's from. It's that may have passed, like Charlie's passing. That event is in the past, but I'll never forget. So that's what that's about.
Thank you for sharing that story, and I'm sorry that you have experienced such tragedy in your life. But we appreciate you sharing. Do you mind telling us about, maybe it was the tattoo on your other hand? I think some of the people had noticed.
Yeah. They probably saw so police evacuated everybody, and I couldn't make it through the middle of campus to get back to my car, so I had to walk outside around and go through the parking lot, and that's when KSL interviewed me, and they had like the 3.5 hour video that you can find on KSL's website, and I was interviewed on there. And so this is
camera's up there.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
So that's I'm a movie buff, so that's from the movie Hook, when Robin Williams, he gets his happy thought, and then he's able to fly, and then he's flying over the ocean, and below him is the ocean water with the compass in the floor of the ocean, and it's like blue and green. So that's what that's from.
I like Peter Pan.
Well, they say it's a beautiful way to express yourself, and tattoos tell a story. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much,
and
Travis.
thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome for sure.
Yeah. I do believe it's getting a little dark, so we may try to have you guys. Is the hearing back up now? Are we off of recess?
Also had another question too. Some people in the audience were asking how they could support you, sir. Is there a way they can keep up with you? How they can support you? If you wanted to share any of that.
Where do I start?
Do you have like a social media handle, like an Instagram or?
My Instagram's private, but I do have an Instagram. I can't remember the exact handle. I'm not really like I use Instagram mostly for concert footage and to share with friends and stuff like that. So I'm not
Maybe you could share it. Maybe you could share it with Billie and Brandi, and then if we have anyone specifically reaching out to us to ask, then we could help connect or something.
Yeah, because the first thing that came to my mind is I'm just scrambling to keep myself together and survive after this event, and I'm just hit from all different angles, from my mental health and physical health and financially. I made some decisions I shouldn't have to cope with the trauma. So, because I didn't have a therapist, so I got into a lot of debt. And so, just any kind of help is appreciated.
Okay, well, we can get your contact information, and if anyone specific wants to help in any way, we will ask you first.
Okay,
if that's okay with you.
That'll be good.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, for taking the time, for standing out in the cold. We truly appreciate it. Opening up to strangers is a tough one. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And in the spirit of that, one of the reasons I'm doing this is because psychologically, since I was a little kid, I've just gone through a lot, like I was in foster care and put it in the middle of everything. And I've just gone through a lot of my life feeling like I was invisible and alone. And so it just helps me to have that connection to other people.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay. And we'll get his contact information for everyone if they reach out and we get his permission.
Okay.
Okay.